7 seconds. That is how far ahead I am. 7 seconds of clean air, a car that is glued to the track, and a field that cannot touch me. For a moment, I think I have finally cracked it. The oval, the doubters, all of it. And then the radio crackles. And everything I thought I understood about this car is about to disappear. That was the reality inside the number 97 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, where damp conditions forced an unusual, almost experimental start to the Dollar Tree 301. Wet weather tires were bolted onto every car on the grid, a rare setup for a Cup Series oval race. Shane Van Gisbergen started 5th, a position that looked promising given his strong run at the track the year before, when the same layout suited his road course instincts far more than most ovals on the schedule. What followed was not a cautious opening stint. It was a takeover. Van Gisbergen passed William Byron and began building a lead that stretched to nearly 7 seconds, a gap he held for 30 laps. For a driver still fighting the label of road course specialist, this was not just a good run. It looked like the exact validation Trackhouse Racing and SVG's doubters had been waiting for, proof that the number 97 could dominate an oval and not just a road course. Before we get further into how it unraveled, this channel is closing in on 1,500 subscribers, and if you want to keep tracking every twist in SVG's season heading into Daytona, hitting subscribe helps make sure you do not miss the next one. Something about that dominance looked too good to last. Built entirely on wet tires, a variable that was about to be taken away without warning. The turning point arrived with a competition caution on lap 41, forcing the entire field onto slick tires at once and stripping away any strategic choice teams might have made on their own terms. This was the moment the mystery was created. Within a handful of laps, the car that had looked untouchable on a damp track became unrecognizable on a dry one. Van Gisbergen's lead evaporated. He fell to 9th by the end of Stage 1, then dropped as far back as 23rd following a slow pit stop that compounded the loss of pace. On the radio, his own words carried the weight of what was happening in real time. Van Gisbergen said, "Real bad. Real bad. I'm just plowing." Moments later he added, "I have so much shuddering. Tight, loose, there's just no grip." Those two transmissions, minutes apart, described two entirely different cars, even though nothing on the number 97 had been touched beyond the tire change. The numbers tell the rest. He led 30 laps. He finished 20th. After the race, Van Gisbergen offered his own explanation, and it became the emotional core of the entire story. He said, "Being that fast on wet weather tires and falling back so far on the slicks shows that we are missing something. Hopefully there are some learnings on that because Connor and I just went backwards as fast as we could when the track dried." End quote. That last detail widens the mystery considerably because Connor Zilisch, driving for the same organization, faded in a similar fashion once the track dried out. Is it the setup? Is it the platform? Is there something about how Trackhouse generates grip that only works in narrow, specific conditions rather than across a full range of track surfaces? None of those questions have been answered publicly by the team. There is no evidence of sabotage and no proven scandal here. But that is exactly what makes it unsettling. No smoking gun, just a performance graph that makes no sense, with two Trackhouse cars showing the same unexplained pattern on the same afternoon. While the technical mystery sits unresolved, the point standings are adding new pressure. Van Gisbergen sits 16th with 586 points, just 31 points ahead of Ryan Preece in 17th. Austin Cindric sits 15th, 44 points clear of the cut line, which means the real threat to SVG is coming from behind, not ahead. Preece has described himself as being on offense. A team protecting a cushion plays it safe, managing risk lap by lap. A team chasing plays aggressive, sometimes desperate racing, willing to trade a clean finish for a shot at points. For the first time all season, Preece is the hunter and Van Gisbergen is the target, a role reversal that changes how both drivers will approach every remaining race. History adds another layer of pressure. Van Gisbergen has 4 career Cup Series starts at Daytona, with a best finish of 16th and 3 finishes of 30th or worse. Preece has 13 starts at the track and 3 top 10 finishes. This is not just a mystery to solve. It is a track where SVG has historically struggled, arriving at the worst possible moment. Daytona also brings a new superspeedway package that nobody in the garage has tested under actual race conditions. The rear spoiler has been cut from 7 inches to 4, horsepower has dropped from 510 to 465, and single-car speeds are expected to rise by roughly 3 miles per hour compared to the previous package. There is no practice session before the race, meaning teams cannot run laps to gather data before the green flag drops. Trackhouse and every other team on the grid will go into the biggest race of the season blind to how their cars behave under the new rules, with no dress rehearsal and no chance to adjust setup based on real feedback. That absence of a safety net connects directly back to New Hampshire. If that race exposed a real weakness in the number 97, there is no practice session left to diagnose or fix it before Daytona matters most. Media voices have added to the scrutiny as well. Jordan Bianchi and Jeff Gluck both publicly questioned whether NASCAR's competition caution stripped teams of a strategic call they should have made on their own, deepening the question of whether New Hampshire was simply bad luck or the first visible sign of a deeper issue. The reaction online shows the controversy is already alive. Before the race, one commenter, Holiday Advance 1450, wrote that SVG's oval racing has been getting better, a hope that now reads almost painfully ironic against how the day actually unfolded. Others were skeptical even before the green flag. Lib Southerner predicted the front of the field would belong to the usual suspects, calling the odds of anyone else breaking through basically negligible, a prediction that lined up almost exactly with how the closing laps actually played out. In the replies underneath Van Gisbergen's own post-race admission, one fan offered a different theory entirely, far removed from tires or setups. Whodat Singer suggested NASCAR doesn't want SVG to look good because he could make the regular drivers look like pikers. That claim is not endorsed here, and there is nothing in the outline or the official record to support it. It is presented only as the kind of speculation that a genuine, unexplained collapse invites when fans are left without a clear technical answer. Whether this turns out to be a fluke, a flaw, or a mystery, Trackhouse has not solved yet. The fans have already started writing their own version of the story, and Daytona is about to hand them an ending one way or another. The wet track exposed a weakness. The slick tires exposed a question nobody in the garage has answered yet, and there is still no clear explanation for why the same car could look untouchable 1 hour and helpless the next. 31 points stand between Van Gisbergen and Preece heading into the final stretch of the regular season. One new aero package nobody has raced with before. 0 practice laps to prepare for it. One driver who has never finished inside the top 15 at this particular track. I don't know yet if New Hampshire was a warning or a fluke. I'll find out with the whole field watching, and no second chances. If you made it this far, drop a comment with your own theory on what went wrong at New Hampshire, and share this with another NASCAR fan who's been asking the same question. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.